5-player manager fallouts that led to immediate transfers. The January transfer window is open, giving unhappy players an opportunity to look for pastures new and clubs the chance to bolster their squads. Some transfers come about for purely mutual reasons, the player and buying and selling parties all in agreement on the best course of action. But others come around in a much less positive fashion because of friction behind the scenes. Arguments, clashing personalities and poor discipline can all spark the decision to transfer list players. January is prime time for such moves because it means managers do not have to make peace and soldier on until the summer, they can ditch unwanted players there and then. Here are 5 examples of transfers which went ahead due to fallouts between the player and their manager. Sometimes it only takes one person from outside to destroy a beautiful love affair. No, not William Shakespeare, but Lucas Digne. So said the French defender to Everton fans after moving from Merseyside to Aston Villa this week. Digne had not played since December 1 before his transfer went through, with tensions running high with Rafa Benitez, the man the left-back was not so subtly referring to in his parting statement. "They pay you big money to perform," Benitez said last week. "You have to perform, you have to be available, you have to put your interests behind the interests of the club." Benitez went on to refer to someone who is worried about their stats and his lack of interest in being able to manage the egos in the dressing room. In the end, Aston Villa have a new left-back. Benitez has rid of a player he clearly viewed as a troublemaker. And Everton have already signed his replacement, Ukraine international Vitaly Mykolenko. "I'd known for a few days they were trying to get rid of me," Keane explained in his book, The Second Half. "I said to Ferguson, can I play for somebody else? And he said, yeah, you can, 'cause we're tearing up your contract. I knew there'd be clubs in for me when the news got out. I said, yeah. I think we have come to the end. I just thought, effing P-take, and I stood up and went, yeah, I'm off." In his own words, that is how Keane's trophy-laden 12-year spell at Manchester United came to an end. The relationship between the Irish midfielder and Sir Alex Ferguson had grown strained before coming to a head in November 2005. Keane's infamous rant on MUTV, in which he criticized Rio Ferdinand among others, was the straw which broke the camel's back. It may have been pulled from transmission, but it signaled the end of an era at Old Trafford as Keane was released by mutual consent and rocked up at Celtic a month later. Graham Souness had a hard job on his hands when he joined Newcastle in September 2004, with Kieran Dyer, Lee Bowyer and Craig Bellamy a tricky trio to manage. It was Dyer and Bowyer who had the infamous on-pitch fight in April 2005, but it was Bellamy who had already broken the former Liverpool captain's spirit months earlier. Souness had been so irritated by Bellamy that he took the unusual approach of writing about it in his program notes. Bellamy has been a disruptive influence from the minute I walked into this football club with his attitude to the coaching staff, to me and to his teammates, he wrote ahead of an FA Cup tie against Coventry. The Welshman, who was annoyed at being played out of position, was accused of feigning injury and swearing at Souness. Writing later in his autobiography, Football, My Life, My Passion, Souness opened up on the difficulties between the two. Recalling an incident in 2004, he wrote, "I walked out of that meeting and thought, what am I doing? Is this the job for me?" After a rocky 4 months of constant problems, Bellamy was sent out on loan to Celtic. Souness said it was him or me and suggested he would have retired from management had the player won the war. Van Nistelrooy was another player to experience both sides of Ferguson. The Dutchman scored 150 goals in just 219 appearances for Manchester United, but left under a cloud to Real Madrid in July 2006. The striker and his manager had clashed on several occasions over his 5 years at the club, but the real problem started when he was left on the bench for the League Cup final against Wigan in February 2006. Van Nistelrooy was benched for a further 6 league games in succession, following a training ground fight with Cristiano Ronaldo. He was so incensed to be left out of the match against Charlton Athletic on the final day of the 2005 Sixths that he refused to stay in the stadium, driving home in a huff. His £10.3 million move to Real came as relief for both parties. 2 or 3 times every year I would think to myself what a shame it was that it had ended like it did with Ferguson. I wanted to do something about it, Van Nistelrooy admitted to Dutch outlet Voetbal International in January 2011. My wife suggested I sent Ferguson a text to see if he was willing to talk, and when I sent him a message asking if I could ring him, he replied to say, "Okay, call me at this date and time." I rang him and he answered and said, "Okay, fine, go ahead." I said I wanted to apologize for what had happened and he replied, "Fine, I appreciate that, when we meet again it will be okay." That was great to know. He's never going to play with my team, never, Paolo Di Canio told BBC Wiltshire. Those words followed remarkable scenes between the Swindon Town manager and his striker. Clark had been at the club for just 11 days in August 2011 when he got into an argument with fitness coach Claudio Donatelli during a League Cup match against Southampton. Things escalated when Di Canio got involved, and the two were shown having a furious argument on the pitch and in the tunnel. It got to a situation where the whole thing blew up very fast, Swindon chairman Jeremy Ray said. There was frustration on both sides. The whole issue was trivial, but nobody responded in the right way. It turned out not to be very trivial at all. 8 days later Clark was gone, having signed a 3-month loan deal with Chesterfield. Clark scored 9 goals in 16 appearances at Chesterfield to earn a transfer to Charlton in January 2012. He played just twice for Swindon.